When Elias Ward emerged from the ruins of the asylum, dawn was breaking, a pale, wounded light filtering through the fog. For the first time in days, he could breathe. The door, the pulsing corridor, the woman with a single red eye, all of it dissolved behind him like a fever dream. He stumbled through the weeds and rubble until he reached his car. The keys shook in his hand as he started the engine. The rear-view mirror showed only himself, gaunt, unshaven, eyes wide and hollow. Yet something about that reflection lingered wrong. His lips seemed slightly out of sync with his breathing, as if there were a half-second delay between him and the image. He dismissed it. Shock. Exhaustion. He needed distance. The drive back to London took 4 hours. Every radio channel was static. At one point, the static began to pulse. Thud, 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 in time with his heart. He switched it off, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. The silence was worse. He could still hear it, beneath his own pulse, like an echo waiting for permission to grow louder. By the time he reached his flat, daylight had thickened into the yellow haze of late morning. He locked the door twice and went straight to his study. Stacks of Harrow's photocopied notes lay across the desk, the old pages smelling faintly of mildew and iron. Elias spread them out, trying to steady his mind. The words blurred and realigned. He forced himself to read them aloud. The ninth pulse is the moment awareness folds in on itself. Consciousness does not expand. It devours. He stopped. The sound of his own voice disturbed him. It seemed deeper, resonant, as if the room itself were repeating after him. He sat down and opened his laptop. Observation, 31B, he dictated. Subject returned from sublevel 9. Shows mild disassociation, probable hypnagogic residue. Physical symptoms. He paused. His heartbeat echoed inside his skull. Thud, thud, thud. The screen flickered, momentarily displaying the symbol before returning to the document. He froze. What the hell? He hadn't typed that. He saved a file and closed it. When he reopened it, entire paragraphs had changed. His scientific observations were rewritten into scripture-like fragments. Every thought is a door. Every cell remembers the way back. You cannot study what is already inside you. He slammed the laptop shut and stumbled away from the desk. The room seemed to contract, shadows shifting as though breathing in rhythm with him. From the street below, church bells began to ring, 9 slow, deliberate chimes. He glanced at the clock on the wall. 4:12 p.m. No bell should have been ringing. He laughed once, a brittle, humorless sound. Coincidence, he muttered. Auditory pareidolia. I'm tired, that's all. But the laughter didn't stop when he stopped. A faint echo continued to beat too long, whispering from behind the wallpaper. That night, he dreamed he was back in the corridor. But it wasn't the same. It was smaller now, closer to the shape of his own apartment. The walls glistened like wet lungs. At the far end, the symbol pulsed faintly, the same rhythm as his heart. He woke gasping, sweat pouring down his neck. The sound hadn't stopped when he opened his eyes. It was coming from inside the walls. A slow, wet thumping. Thud, thud, thud. He pressed his ear against the plaster and heard them, voices, dozens of them, whispering in unison, soft as breath. Beneath the skin, we wait. The door is remembering itself. Elias staggered back, covering his ears. No, he hissed. It's impossible. I'm awake. But the whispers did not fade. They grew clearer, harmonizing into a strange, almost musical vibration. Not like human voices at all, but like an organ played from inside the body. The building's electricity flickered. Lights pulsed in time with the rhythm. The windows fogged with condensation, though the night outside was dry. He stood in the trembling glow of the living room lamp, watching the air move like something breathing around him. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered without thinking. No one spoke at first. Only that same heartbeat-like pulse filled the line. Then a voice, distant, layered, as though made of many people speaking at once. Elias Ward, do you hear it? He tried to hang up, but his hand wouldn't obey. You brought it back, the voice continued. Every repetition of the symbol is a seed. Every thought of it opens another door. We are the memory beneath your skin. The line went dead. He threw the phone across the room. It shattered against the wall. The sound echoed too long, reverberating not in air, but in him. The next morning, he returned to the university. He had to tell someone, show them the evidence, prove that this was more than madness. The corridors of the psychology department were empty. As he walked, fluorescent lights flickered overhead in rhythmic sequence, one after another, like a pulse moving down the hall. He found Professor Mallory, his colleague and oldest friend, in her office. She looked up with tired eyes. "Elias, you look awful." "I found it," he said. "Harrow's work. It's real. The door is real." Mallory frowned. "What door?" He showed her the symbol he had copied into his notebook. "This one." She stared for a long time. Then her pupils dilated, the color draining from her face. "What did you say it was?" Before he could answer, she pressed her hand to her temples and screamed. Blood trickled from her nose, then her ears. She collapsed forward onto the desk, convulsing. Elias froze, horrified. The notebook fell from his hand, pages fluttering open on the floor. The symbol repeated across them like a contagion. He stumbled backward, calling her name, but when he touched her shoulder, her body stilled. Her skin felt cold, pliant, and beneath it he could feel movement, a faint ripple, like something alive shifting under her flesh. He ran. By nightfall, he sat in his car on the edge of the city, staring at the notebook in the passenger seat. Every attempt to destroy it failed. The pages refused to burn. The ink refused to smay. The symbol had become a constant presence in his mind's eye. Whenever he blinked, he saw it glowing against the darkness behind his eyelids. A dimly lit hospital corridor stretches into infinity, its walls pulsing faintly as if alive. In the center stands a man, Elias, wearing a torn white lab coat, his back turned to the viewer. Beneath his skin, faint red shapes and veins glow like shifting symbols. The ceiling lights flicker, and shadowy figures press against the translucent walls, their mouths open in silent song. At the far end of the hallway, the black outline of the 9th door is barely visible, its red sigil, pulsing in rhythm with a man's heartbeat. The floor was no longer stone. It throbbed under Elias's feet, soft and warm, like tissue. Each step left a faint red impression that slowly faded into the pulsing surface. He couldn't tell if he was walking through a hallway or the inside of something enormous and alive. The air shimmered faintly with heat, smelling faintly of copper and sweet rot. He had awakened, again, in the asylum's lower ward. The same cracked walls, the same flickering bulbs, but every corner carried a faint glistening sheen. As he brushed his hand against the wall, it flexed like skin. He did not scream. He had no breath left to scream with. His heart was moving too slowly now, each beat an echo of the 9th door's pulse. He could feel it behind his eyes, the pattern, alive and intelligent. Every thought he had now came with a whisper, not of another voice, but his own spoken by something else. "Elias," it murmured, "you were not chosen to see. You were built to see." He staggered forward, passing through a doorway that led into what used to be the surgical theater. The metal tables were gone. Instead, glassy pods rose from the floor, translucent spheres filled with half-formed shapes suspended in liquid. Faces, limbs, organs, all twitching faintly in dreamlike rhythms. One pod cracked open as he approached. A shape slumped out, human, mostly. Its skin was thin as wax, and beneath it pulsed faint crimson vein forming the symbol across its chest. "Doctor," it croaked in a child's voice. "Did we pass the threshold?" Elias knelt beside it, trembling. Its eyes were his. Its teeth, wrong, mismatched, glinted under the sickly light. He realized it wasn't speaking to him at all. It was reciting something, a memory loop burned into its decaying brain. He backed away, bumping into another pod. This one still held its occupant intact. A young woman with a surgeon's badge melted into her collarbone. He recognized her. Dr. Maren, his assistant, but she had died 12 years ago. The pod trembled. Her eyes snapped open. "You came back," she said softly. Her voice echoed through the room, from every pod, every corner. "You had to, Elias. You never left. We're all still inside the door." He stumbled backward, and the pod began to glow from within, each face turning toward him, whispering fragments of his own words. Experiment 9. Breach vector, the pattern sees. He clamped his hands to his ears. No, he whispered. I destroyed it. The door, the sigil, I sealed it. The chorus answered as one. You can't seal what dreams of itself. The floor convulsed. He fell to his knees, his reflection shimmering in a puddle of blood-like fluid. But the reflection wasn't his. It was a child. A small boy, wide-eyed, tracing it into sand. He blinked. The image changed again. The boy grown, a student of anatomy. Another blink. The same man, now middle-aged, writing symbols into a patient's spine during a fever study. Every phase of his life played before him, looping, intersecting, all marked by the same symbol. The 9th door had always been with him. He wasn't the scientist who found it. He was the vessel that birthed it. His knees struck the wet floor. A tearing sound echoed, his skin splitting in a thin red line across his chest. No pain, only pressure, and the faint sound of whispering inside his body. From the wound, faint red light poured. He understood, finally, what the 9th door had whispered since the beginning. It did not open into another world. It opened into the memory of one. Every thought, every dream of humanity, their horror, their pain, their need to understand, had built the thing from the inside out. The asylum, the experiments, even the name Elias. All constructs of the door's dreaming mind. The walls began to fold inward, layers of translucent flesh collapsing like petals of a dying flower. The pods burst, releasing a river of liquid filled with unformed faces and hands. The ceiling split open, revealing not sky, but an enormous eye above, its iris a swirling black void ringed by the same red sigil. It blinked once. Elias felt the pulse match his heartbeat. Then the voice spoke again, not in his ears but through the vibration of his bones. Wake, my son. The womb is breaking. The door must dream again. He fell backward into the fluid as the world around him dissolved. The faces dissolved with him, mouths open in silent hymns. The final sound was a slow, wet rhythm of the steady as breathing, steady as birth, and then silence. The world held its breath.